Hey, I am Ozzy the Wonder Squirrel. I want to tell you about my t-shirts. You can get your own at deaditesanddeck.com today. And if you don't want to take my word for it, here's a satisfied customer.
Hi, my name is Changeling, and this is Ozzy the Wonder Squirrel. If you want to rock and hair like this, go to deaditesanddeck.com.
You've been hanging around for way too long, snorting and kicking, causing a terrible fuss. You've been leaving slime everywhere you hide, eating all my cheesecake and never washing a dish, pushing over the trash can. What's with you, dude? You make trouble galore, and you are downright rude. Hey, you! Strong, get out from under my bridge. Strong, get out from under my bridge. You slink into my throwing garbage everywhere. You insult my friends without a care. You throw around monkey do like my channel is your throne. Go away, shoo. Hey you! Troll! Get out from under my bridge. Hey you! Troll! Get out from under my bridge. Troll! Get out from under my bridge. Hey you! Troll!
Hi, I am Ozzy the Wonder Squirrel. Don't forget to watch Evil Dead Chick on Deadites on Deck on YouTube. Oh, and subscribe, man.
Watching movies, evil dead chick, and the gang, funny, strange, hysterical, or just plain bad.
Howdy, gang. Hey, the poet. Hey, Stalin. And welcome to another watch along weekend. And tonight we are going to be watching The Changeling. Now, as I always say, it is not a requirement that you be watching the movie. If you want to just come in here and hang out while me and anybody else that may be watching the movie is watching along, hey, that is fine. You can come in here and talk about the movie with us if you want to. Now, I don't want to spoil anything for anybody. So if it's a movie that you haven't seen, I would caution you that we may give spoilers away and stuff like that in here. So I'm not as cautious when I do watch alongs as I am, other streams that I do. So I thought I would throw that in there. I've got a new overlay for watch along weekend. There's a new logo for the watch along weekends. Well, I've had it for a little bit. And I hope that a lot of you will be able to join me tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for the Beware of Trolls edition of My Path to Becoming a Positive Renegade. Again, that's tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Stan, you said, good thing I may be able to watch it. So hopefully you guys and gals can join me for that. And now, again, we are not going to be pointing fingers. We're not going to be naming names. I'm just going to talk in generalities about how to deal with trolls on your YouTube channel or anywhere else in social media, because we know these people crop up at different places, right? And it doesn't necessarily have to be somebody just these random trolls show up and just want to cause problems in people's streams. They want to cause them, problems on their TikTok, their Instagram. They have a Facebook group. Do I have a link for the Changeling? Let me see. I apologize again to Poet. I've been behind making sure that I get these things for people, and I may freeze up, folks. I may have a link here. Give me 1 second here. Apparently, it's on YouTube. Let me get that in there for you guys and gals. And of course, I'm going to give you, in fact, I'll go ahead and tell you guys where I'm queued up to. I'm queued up 18 seconds in on the Severin Blu-ray to where it says AFD Associated Film Distribution. And, while I'm blabbing, y'all, those of you that are going to be watching along with me tonight, will be able to get it queued up. And if somebody comes in here later and asks for a timestamp, I'll be glad to give it to them. But again, I'm not trying to say that these people are ugly that are trolls. That was just my cartoon representation of what a troll is to me. These people could be the most beautiful and handsome people in the world and still be trolls. Somebody can look pretty on the outside, have a bad attitude on the inside, right? So I don't want anybody to get any ideas that, oh, she's talking about me. She's saying I'm an ugly, slimy troll. No, well, you really can't say that because I'm not mentioning names. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm trying to be helpful and tell people how to best deal with trolls once they try to take hold of your channel or whatever other social media presence you may have. Okay. So that's coming up. And the animated intro was just something funny because, if we can't laugh at the situation a little bit, it'll just continue to fester and get worse. So I laugh at myself sometimes. I try to laugh at situations instead of getting angrier and more upset over them, right? Because I think everybody, from the most popular person to the least popular person out on the internet, has had to deal with trolls. I am willing to bet that. Okay. So, anyway, hopefully, I'll have another week of exciting programming for you folks coming up this next week. More celluloid trash, more horror mania, more they're all messed up, more insomnia cure, and so on and so forth. And I have a new poll up for a watch along that's either late in April or early in May. I want to say early in May, but I could be wrong about that because my brain is just mush anymore. But I do have a new Slasher Fest put up for May where we're going to be watching Carrie and Prom Night, folks, because usually people's proms take place in the month of May. So that's why I'm doing that the first weekend, or I mean the first Friday in May. And if all goes well, that's what I'll be doing. But also, just a reminder that the situation that may have caused me to have to change times from my stream did not materialize. And if it's possible to feel happy and sad about something at the same time for different reasons, then that's how I'm feeling about it. Okay. But, I am, not at liberty right now to mention anything about that. And hopefully I'll have some good news that I can share before long. But if you don't hear anything from me that, I'm just all excited and stuff like that, it probably means that did not materialize either. So that's all I'm going to say about that for right now. But I'll give everybody a couple more minutes to get queued up if you're watching the film. And again, I put a link, the YouTube link, in the chat. Thank you for asking the poet about that because that helped remind me. But again, I'm queued up 18 seconds in on my Severin Blu-ray to where it says AFD, Associated Film Distribution. In about another minute or so, we'll go ahead and do the countdown and get started. So I hope everybody's had a great weekend so far. Steve took me out to eat at Chili's for lunch today, so I enjoyed that. And I got some stuff done that I need to get done and managed to not be late for this watch along tonight. Now, I will tell you guys and gals that I may need to take myself out of the stream at some point. And y'all can continue to watch. I want you to continue to watch if you're watching along with the movie. I may have to take care of some of my critters, making sure they've got all their needs met. But I will be back as soon as I can if I have to do that. And I will let y'all know, hey, I'm going to step out and remove myself from the stream for a little bit. Y'all keep watching. And that way, if somebody comes in while I'm gone, y'all can, those of you that are in here can fill them in. All right. So let's go. The poet, do you need another minute or two, or do you did you get to the link and get queued up? If not, I can wait another minute or so. I just wanted to make sure I gave people ample opportunity to get queued up if they were going to be watching the film tonight. And if I don't hear from, oh, the poet says he's ready. All right, so here we go. We're going to do the countdown and get this party started. Yeah, it's whatever you want to do, Stalin. Do you need me to hold off before I do the countdown? We'll wait and see if Stalin says anything further before we get started. You said, no, I'm ready. All right, good deal. So here we go. We're going to do the countdown, the 3, 2, 1, and hit play. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Press play, folks. All right, we're off and running. And this movie is a little bit longer, not significantly longer than other films that we've watched for watch-alongs, but it is an hour and 46 minutes. So I probably will at some point be taking myself out of the stream to go take care of my little critters, and then I will be back. Okay, and I will say, just for those of you that maybe have not seen this before, this does have a very shocking opening. I was not, when I first time watched this, I was not expecting this at all. Yeah, it's strange, Stalin. Some things get flagged and some things don't. And some channels get flagged and some don't. I can't do any of these things. So I can't even show clips. I can't even show clips from movies or they will get me. Not a copyright strike, but I've never been threatened with a copyright strike, but I have been I can't monetize certain things. Yeah, I mean, I'm not listening to mine with the sound on, but it may be possible that there is not music at the beginning. So if you are at the part where that's a weird spot for a phone booth to be, but you can see that George C. Scott's character there is with his wife and his daughter. And I guess they need a tow truck because something's wrong with the car. So he goes across the road. Like I said, that's a weird place for a phone booth. And his wife and daughter are throwing snowballs and stuff. This is so like, and there's a truck and a car coming. And you see him slowly turn. And he knows what's going to happen here. That is horrifying in and of itself. And this is, not even like, now we should have some somber music, or that's what it's telling me in the subtitles. So George C. Scott's character is, I believe he's a musician. And he's just lost his family in due to a terrible car accident. I don't know what is going on out there, but there have been thumping sounds like for the last hour coming from somewhere in the neighborhood. I don't know if it's our neighbors on this side or if it's in back of us, but so the poet, do you have any hopefully there's some sound now if you're listening to it with the sound. Because I mean, if you guys and gals are Steve, are you saying that I'm being too loud? Oh, Okay. I think that's a hint from my husband that I'm being too loud. Unfortunately, Steve's got to work tomorrow. Um, what, Steve? No, I'm sitting out far in the bedroom. Okay. I'm not sure what he's talking about, but oh, fireworks. Is that what that is? That sound is fireworks? Oh, boy. Well, whatever. I didn't know it was fireworks. I've been hearing it like all for days this past week. So I don't know why people are setting off fireworks now. So DePo, you say, yeah, the piano music is good. Yeah. So since the loss of his family, of course, he's going to move out of the place that he's at and he's going to move to another house, which is where a lot of the action is going to take place in this movie. You say you're trying to say that you're setting off fireworks in the bedroom? Okay. I get what I guess you were joking then. But I'm talking about I'm hearing popping or banging coming from outside. So this ball that he was just remembering playing with this ball, this bouncy ball with his daughter. This ball's going to come into play a little bit later. Now that's not fireworks. Y'all may be able to hear that. That sounds like somebody hammering or something. So he's talking about grief now and how and this is really very realistic. He said that he was going along like a normal day and then it hit him that his wife and daughter were gone. And I think that that happens with a lot of people when they're dealing with grief and loss. So he's looking for a house to rent. And Trish Vanderveer's character works for the Historical Preservation Society. And for some reason, the heads of the Preservation Society don't want this house rented. But Trish Vanderveer's character does rent it to him anyway. And there she is playing the character of Claire Norman. I think Trish Vanderveer was in The Hearse as well, which was another horror movie. And I was just about to say, this is an absolutely fantastic, in my opinion, horror movie. And there are several other people that feel that way too. As far as ghost films or supernatural horror films, I think this one is really at the top of my list. Sorry, folks. And I am also thinking about putting a poll up to see if there would be an interest in me doing, when I do have a watch along weekend every other weekend, if there would be an interest in me doing 2 movies again like I used to. And if there's not, there's not. We'll keep it at 1. But if there is, as the poet has reminded me, a poll is a great way to get people's thoughts on it. And it's quick and easy and all that stuff. People don't have to worry about coming to you specifically to say, hey, yeah, I'd like you to do 2 movies, or no, I would rather you keep it as 1. Because it could be that people on Sundays are thinking about work on Monday morning. They don't really want to stay up late watching another movie. They would rather, just do it on Saturdays, maybe. You may be able to hear the kiddos over. I don't know how good the sound carries when I'm doing these streams. If y'all can hear like the extra. Son, you say unsure what to decide on, but maybe 1. You think maybe I should keep it at 1, Stalin? I mean, that's valid, because when I was doing 2, I'm not against doing 2 again if enough people wanted it. But I did think sometimes that, because I would get virtually nobody on Sunday nights a lot of times. And I thought, well, maybe it's just overkill. Maybe it's too much. I hope my blood sugar is not dropping because I keep yawning a lot. In fact, folks, I think I'm just be on the safe side because I do not want to go into a low blood sugar here in front of you folks while we're doing this watch along. I'm going to go grab me some ice cream real quick and I'll be right back. All right, gang, I'm back. I think it's the neighbors over on this side of us, the neighbors that we talk to on a regular basis and stuff. I think the kiddos are out there playing, so I don't know what they're what they're doing, but um the poet, you say you wonder how they made the piano play by itself. I'm not sure. I mean, I know there are ways that you can do it, but I can't remember if I recall if they talked about it. That there may be some information on these discs, or maybe talk about that. I'm telling you guys and gals, though, George C. Scott was an incredible actor, and he was also an incredibly versatile actor. Because you look at something like this, where he's pretty much a straight laced, very kind man. And then you watch him in something like Firestar, where he is just evil. And he's also played Scrooge in one of the Christmas Carol movies. So just an amazing actor. That is a huge house, too, folks. This movie's also, beautifully shot as well. Stalin, you say you're at the 20-minute mark. Are you too? I'm about 17 minutes, 47 seconds in. So you're just slightly ahead of me. So he's starting to get awakened by strange noises in the house now. And these little subtle things like the door opening behind him and you don't see anybody. I mean, those things are all just genius to me. Just very, very effective. Oh, I forgot to say, but some of you, many of you maybe have already noticed that I did put up a poll for horror horror movie referential or something like that. I forgot exactly how I put it. Referential horror movie or something like that week. And I've got Scream and Popcorn and Wes Craven's New Nightmare on there. And people have already started voting on that. So thank you. So Claire has brought some pictures over for the house. And if I'm remembering correctly, they kind of, Trish Vanderveer and Dorsey Scott, their characters kind of start a little bit of a romance with each other. I mean, it's not anything explicit, um, but I think they do get sort of close. They're going horseback riding together. So John, George C. Scott's character, is he was remembering how his daughter Kathy loved horses, and then he had a flashback to the accident. And I don't know what George C. Scott was channeling here, but those look like real tears to me where he's crying. A lot of actors and actresses will channel something that has made them sad in their real life, and they're able to channel that in order to have realistic expressions, realistic emotions on camera. And not only is John a musician, but he's also a music professor, and apparently maybe he tutors, or offers lessons for people wanting to learn to play instruments. So basically, when everybody else is out of the house, when the students have left, now he's hearing a person laughing, he's hearing moaning, there's water trickling. And he goes into the kitchen to find the water is running into the sink. And any of you guys and gals out there that believe in ghosts, it's okay if you don't. I am a believer because I've had certain things happen to me, and people can laugh if they want to, but I know that it was real. I've been in haunted places too, and have, caught things on camera that I didn't notice till I was going through my pictures later. Um, I've heard, I've been woken up out of a dead sleep by somebody calling out my name. Um, just different things have happened to me over the years that have made me a firm believer in, the fact that there's definitely something beyond this world. And sometimes people that have passed on, even if they were people that you didn't know, will try to reach back out to the living at some point in time. So movies like this, even though they are fictional, still hold great interest for me. So there's water running in the bathtub now, and this is going to make more sense as the movie goes on. I couldn't remember if this was rated R or rated PG or PG-13, but apparently it's rated R. DePaul, you say you've seen and felt a ghost? Yeah. I mean, I've heard several people over the years say they have. Um, and then there are people like my husband Steve who say they don't believe, but yet they seem a little nervous about things. Like, for instance, I got really into about the time that I went to Waverly Hills here in Louisville, which anybody that's heard about Waverly Hills knows that that used to be an old tuberculosis hospital back in the 20s. And it's chock full of ghosts, apparently. And I have witnessed things there. I witnessed something that an entity that did not show up, or I didn't see it until I was looking back over my pictures. And that was when me and Steve went to a tour, just a regular 2-hour tour. And then the second time I went there, I went with my neighbors next door, and we stayed for half the night. I think it was a 6-hour thing. And when Steve and I went, I was going back through my pictures, and I had them blowed up on the computer screen. And I got to one where our guide was talking to us, and I was just snapping pictures of the people that were in our group and the guide and stuff like that, just the environment. But I didn't see this person whenever I took the picture. I don't remember seeing them. But when I went back and looked at these pictures and had them blown up, I saw what appeared to be a woman who didn't have a hairstyle like anybody else. She was not dressed like anybody else. And she appeared to be holding a hat with a ribbon on it. When I went back to look at women from the 20s, they were dressed. They had that kind of hairstyle that she had. She was clearly not from our time period. And again, people can laugh if they want to. I don't care. And she just looked like she was just standing in back of everybody, just observing us. And I called to Steve and I said, "Hey, Steve," I said, "come back here a minute." When he got back here, and this is from Steve, the person that says he does not believe, right? He said, "Yeah." And I said, "Take a look at this picture." And I said, "Do you remember that person, that woman being in our group?" And he said, no. And he said, this is making me feel weird, Dana, or something to that effect. He went back into the living room and started watching TV again. Now, the second time I went with my neighbors next door, and we were in what they called the body chute or the death tunnel. Me and my neighbor Kim didn't get to go in there because she's evidently one of those sensitive people that gets sick. And she, bless her heart, she ended up having to leave and go out to the car until we were finished. So it was me and her husband Troy that were in the death tunnel or the body chute. We didn't see anything when we were going down into the tunnel, but when we turned around, because you can't go straight out of it, when you get to the bottom of it, you got to turn around and go back up the way that you came. So when we were going back up, I was down to just my phone, I think, because as most of you have probably heard that have looked up anything on the supernatural, anytime there's spiritual entities around, it can drain batteries out of cell phones, out of digital cameras, out of video cameras, etc., etc. It will just drain the power. And that's exactly what happened to me, all except my phone. So I was filming as we were going back up the body chute, and I, I and I swear to you this is true. The shape of a woman in a long dress appeared a few feet in front of us, and I didn't see it at first, and then I saw it, and she was just like hovering there, and I said, "Hey, Troy," I said, "look at this." And we couldn't see it very well with the naked eye, but looking through the viewfinder for my cell phone, we could see it clearly. I said, "You see that?" And after a second, he said, "Oh, yeah, I do." And we kept going towards her. And eventually she just dissipated and disappeared. Again, people can laugh. I don't mind. I would not get mad. I probably wouldn't believe it if I hadn't seen it myself. So, when I got all this ghost hunting equipment, what I was getting to about Steve saying he doesn't believe, but stuff freaks him out. He said, "I don't believe, Dana," but he said, "I don't want you getting something stirred up in here." I said, "Well, if you don't believe, what are you afraid I'm going to get stirred up?" He said, "Don't matter. I just wish you wouldn't play around with it." So, gang, I'm probably in a few more minutes at 8 o'clock. I'm going to take myself out of the stream in order to take care of my critters. Um, but when I do that, please, y'all continue to keep watching, stalling the poet, anybody else that might be watching along. And I will be back as soon as I can. I'm going to wait till 8. Okay, see that wheelchair there, that old timing wheelchair? That thing is freaky. And there's going to be a scene upcoming that has that wheelchair in it. And y'all see what I mean here in a little while. In fact, you can see it if you look there at the top of that staircase. I think it was, yeah, this is what was featured, I think, on the old VHS and the poster art and all that. It's a shame we don't have more people in here for this watch along. Because this is a great movie. Maybe that's why they didn't want to come in here. Maybe because they said it's not a lousy movie, so we can't sit here and make fun of it. So John is telling Claire that, there's been bangings, broken window panes, um, running water where, he hadn't turned on the water, voices, laughter, things like that. And they said that one of the older women in town had said that the house didn't want people, which is kind of strange too. So Claire said she went back on the history of the house back to 1920. But John found this book from 1909, and they're trying to figure out who would have lived here then. So now John is trying to figure out who the previous tenants were of the house. And they're not finding anything prior to 1920. Oh, I remember these microfilm scanners or readers. My first library job, we had one of those. So I think at this point, both John and Claire think that the person that could be haunting the house he's staying in now could be this little girl who was hit in the early 1900s by a coal wagon or whatever they called it. And so he's asking, what is that in the house? Why is it trying to reach out to me? So now Claire's telling him, John, you need to get out of the house. Okay, gang, I am going to not only take care of my little critters, but I am going to take a restroom break as well because y'all know me. I have to take my restroom breaks. But should anybody come in here while I'm gone, if y'all could just let them know I stepped away for a little bit and I will be right back. Now the ball's making an appearance here again, folks. I may stay for this because see, this is that ball that, was something that he and his daughter played with, and it keeps showing up. He keeps putting it away, and it keeps showing up. So, evidently, it's not going to show anything real elaborate right there. So, thank you, Stalin. You say we'll wait for you. I will be right back, folks. May have lost everybody, or y'all may be still here, Stalin the poet. It says 0 people. Sorry for being gone for about 20 minutes, but I had to take care of my critters in there. But I'm back now. You're still here, Stalin. See, I think StreamYard and YouTube, they just sometimes tell me that there's nobody in here. They tell me there's less people in here than there actually is. And so they're finding out more about the people that live there. So this is where the changeling part comes in, where he's talking about the father murdering his child and because they were sickly and um, not a proper heir. It's pretty sadistic, but then getting a healthy child to be the changeling or the substitution. You're here for a little while. That's cool, the poet. And you know, the great thing is that you guys and gals can watch this on the replay as well. Jordan, I'm not against that. I in fact love the Pink Panther movies with Peter Sellers. So I definitely would not be against that. Oh my gosh, Jordan, I haven't watched the Pink Panther movies in a minute, so I would probably have to go back and watch them again before I could tell you my favorite. Um, by the way, since you brought up Peter Sellers, have you seen the Magic Christian where he adopts Ringo Starr? He's this real rich guy and he adopts Ringo Starr and he decides to show how corrupt the world really is, that some people will do anything for money. Yes, Jordan, you say I've heard the movie, and that was Badfinger's first big hit from the soundtrack. Yep. So apparently, the ghost that is haunting this house is the real son and probably would have been the real heir. And his father killed him and got a replacement, an orphan child, to take the name of the other child so that the father could get an inheritance that he believed he was owed. I think I have, in fact, Jordan, I think I have the Screaming Skull on a double movie DVD that's one of those drive-in discs where you can actually watch the movie as if you're at a drive-in with people walking in gravel around you and cars and stuff like that. It's a pretty cool thing. I don't think they made many DVDs like that because maybe the novelty wore off quickly, but I don't know. But I do believe that The Screaming Skull is one of the movies on that, but I haven't seen it in a minute. So apparently, the little boy was killed in the house that John is renting, but apparently, he was buried somewhere else. And hence, them being in this house and digging to get underneath of this room. Um, no, Jordan, I'm not familiar with Brandon Tenold. You said, hopefully Brandon Tenold reviews the movie you're reacting to. Have you ever watched him? I have not. The name is not familiar to me. But is he on YouTube or is he somewhere else where I could be able to watch him? So they found a hand or the skeleton of a hand. So they've found some skeletal remains. And that the coroner said that they had been down there at least 50 years. Jordan, you say he's a YouTuber. He's from Canada and has reviewed a lot of movies. And this said this movie is like Poltergeist and Pet Cemetery together as one. Well, I'll have to check out this Brandon Tenold. My husband may have seen him because Steve watches a lot more YouTubers than I do. But I'm always for, supporting other YouTubers out there. Hmm. You're right. You say poltergeist because of the skeletons and Pet Cemetery because of the dead spirit. Wow, folks. I mean, I did go away for about 20 minutes, but this movie is already an hour and 15 minutes into it. So we got about 30 more minutes left of this, and that's it, folks. See, again, the mark of a good movie is that you don't even know, even if it's a little bit longer, you don't even realize it. Jordan, you say I love both Pet Cemetery 1 and 2. I love Clancy Brown. I do too. Clancy Brown's one of my favorite things about Pet Cemetery too. In the second one, he is my favorite part of the movie. And are those parrots in the background? Well, they're not parrots, but they're parakeets. I do have two parakeets back there in the living room. My two parakeets, Kane and Raimi. Of course, one of them's named after Kane Hodder, and the other one's named after Sam Raimi. I do briefly, Jordan. It's been a minute since I watched Dumb and Dumber as well. So I believe the Senator Carmichael is the changeling. He's the guy who, when he was a child, he took the place of the boy that was murdered. My favorite horror comedy, Jordan. You like Young Frankenstein. That's a very very good one. I I tend to like ones that go way over the top, Jordan. So probably something like Student Bodies would be mine. So apparently, this guy has a matching baptism medal. Yeah, I mean, Jordan, I don't tend to, I'm not saying they're not, but usually when I'm thinking about horror comedies, I don't think about Basket Case and Brain Damage because I'm really not sure that they intended those to be that funny. Maybe Frank Henenlotter did, but the thing with some of those low budget um things is, I don't know how many of them intended them to be that funny. But obviously, with something like Student Bodies and Young Frankenstein, they did intend those to be funny. But I do like both of those films, though. I will say that. And Frankenhooker, and now Frankenhooker would almost, a lot of that was comedic. Yeah, Jordan, you said like Frankenhooker is so crazy and ridiculous, but so funny. I love the part at the end when Zorro is killed by the body parts at the end, and when Jeffrey wakes up too. Yeah, there are so many funny parts of that movie. So now Claire is telling John that she's been forced to resign from the historical society. Um, and they have canceled John's lease on the house. Um, and Senator Carmichael is saying he's being blackmailed because he knows that, somebody's caught on to what's going on. So we're down to the final 20 minutes of the film, folks. I hope that those of you that have been watching along thus far have enjoyed this. And if this is your first time watching it, I hope you have really, really enjoyed it. And maybe this will make you want to go back and watch it on your own without me talking over it. So now John just experienced something. He saw the policeman that was there at the house threatening to tear the house that John's staying in, apart. And now it appears that he's died in a car accident. In a single car accident at that. So now all of a sudden, Senator Carmichael is, after the cop getting killed and all that, now Senator Carmichael wants to see John. So again, that's where the title of the movie comes from, The Changeling. Senator Carmichael is the changeling. He was never initial the initial heir to this empire, as John calls it. The original son of Richard Carmichael was, but he was badly um, crippled. And again, some people have gotten upset with me for using that term, crippled. But back in when this movie was made and before, that was a term that was used. So I don't want anybody to get upset that I am calling handicapped people cripples. The term was crippled, and I just want to bring that up because I have been talked down to and accused of calling somebody a cripple when that's not what I said. So I just wanted to make that plain during this. Actually, that was during when I was talking about Silver Bullet. And Corey Haim's character is in a wheelchair, he's handicapped. But back in 1985, when that movie came out, you know, the sister says, it's not my fault he's crippled. And I was just phrasing that the way it was in the movie. And, I don't mean to get off on a tangent, folks, but I just don't want people to have ideas about me that I go around calling handicapped people cripples. I was only referencing a line from a movie and I got called out for it. So in this movie, somebody is referred to as crippled because this was a different time period, folks. So again, I don't want anybody to get upset, all up in arms, thinking I'm not being politically correct or being sympathetic to people that are handicapped. I am, I'm not a bad person. Just because I use a term that is used in an old movie does not mean that. So anyway, the father killed his natural son because he was never going to be a quote unquote proper heir to this empire. And the father was so greedy, he didn't care anything about his real son, that he drowned his real son and got an orphan from the orphanage. And that is Senator Carmichael. So Claire has made her way back to the house that John is renting. But of course, John's not there. Things are going to get a little bit crazy here. I think this might be where the wheelchair shows up in the creepy scene. Excuse me. Yeah, there's that creepy wheelchair. This is actually one of the most frightening parts of the movie where that damn wheelchair is chasing her. Well, John is trying to tell Joseph, the son that was killed, um, that hey, you need to stop this. We understand what's going on. So now the house is catching on fire, and John is kind of incapacitated right now. This is some very bizarre imagery. So John is seeing Senator Carmichael going up the steps. The banister is in flames. And Joseph, the real son, wants his medal back. And apparently, the whole house is going to be destroyed because it's on fire, completely on fire. And Joseph is the real Joseph is still, saying, Father, I want my medal. Father, help. And you see this flashback of the real son being drowned. And so it seems that Senator Carmichael is not really in the house, but he is able to see what had happened to the real son. And it looks like Senator Carmichael has suffered a heart attack.
This is a reminder.
Sorry, that's my reminder going on.
If you finish this, just let me know you're done. Otherwise, I'll remind you in the morning. This is a reminder. To go in the back room and turn off the heater. If you finish this, just let me know you're done. Otherwise, I'll remind you in the morning.
So the house is completely burned down. But you can still see that crazy wheelchair there. And the music box opens up and starts playing. And folks, we have officially reached the end of the Changeling. And I hope that you guys and gals have enjoyed watching this film along with me. If you were not able to stay for the duration, you are free to watch this on the replay. And well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Stalin. And like I said earlier, hopefully those of you that this was your first time watch will want to actually go back and watch it without me talking over it. And for those of you that didn't get to stay for the duration, hopefully you'll get to go back and watch this on the replay. You may, if you haven't seen it before, you might want to go back and watch it again without me talking over it. And then maybe you might want to go back and watch this watch along for it. Get the movie synced up again and all that. But Stalin, I'm really, really happy that you enjoyed this. And I love introducing people to films that they may not have seen or possibly may not have heard of. That always makes me feel good that I've, maybe introduced something to somebody that they had not, maybe they had heard of it, but they had not watched. But I'm going to stay with you guys and gals that are still in here until the credits roll, as I always do. And don't forget, tomorrow night, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, I will be doing the Beware of Trolls edition of My Path to Becoming a Positive Renegade. And it is going to be positive, folks. Again, I am not, lest anybody think I'm going to call out anybody for being a troll. I'm not. I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to point fingers. I'm simply going to talk about ways that we can appropriately deal with trolls wherever they show up. Okay? So, and by the way, this was filmed on location in New York City, Seattle, Washington, and Vancouver, British Columbia, folks. And the credits have officially rolled on the Changeling. Again, I want to thank Jordan, Stalin, the poet. Thank you guys, and and my dear husband, but I'm sure he's asleep by now. I want to thank you guys for hanging out in the chat with me and keeping me company in the chat as we went through the Changeling. I had a lot of fun watching it again with you guys and gals, if there were any gals that were watching along. And any guys too that maybe didn't feel comfortable getting into the chat tonight, but you were watching along. I thank you guys and gals as well. For those of you, again, that were not able to stay for the duration, or maybe you weren't able to join me live at all, but will watch this on the replay, I thank you guys and gals as well. It is much appreciated. And for those of you, well, I think I already said that already. My brain is just mush. But if you can, tune in tomorrow night at 8 p.m. for the special Beware of Trolls edition of My Path to Becoming a Positive Renegade. And hopefully I'm going to have a lot of interesting, hopefully, programming coming up in the coming week. And be sure to vote in the polls. I'm actually going to put up a poll about whether you would like me to return to the format where when I have a watch along weekend, if you'd like me to continue with the one movie for Saturdays, if you would like me to do two movies and when it's a watch along weekend, one on Saturday night, one on Sunday, I want to hear from you guys and gals because you are a huge part of what makes my channel a success. And I want to make sure that I hear from you guys and gals. So I guess that is it for me for tonight. And as always, I'm off like a dirty shirt. This shirt ain't dirty, but I'm off like one. And I want to remind everybody, as I always do before I get off of here for the night, to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. You have a good night too, Stalin. You say, I will be there for the Trolls Live tomorrow. Well, I appreciate it, Stalin. And I appreciate everybody else that is able to attend. Or if you can't attend live, if you watch it on the replay, I appreciate that as well. And I'm going to get out of here for now. But everybody, again, have a fantastic rest of your Saturday night. And I'll see everybody next time.